That's what we call courtside. Courtside. One day we may do reverse. Bring Zimbabwe in front. No, one day we should. We do reverse alphabetical. We have. Okay. Thank you for taking your seats. Thank you for taking your seats. Thank you. And besides fixing their conditioning, we are also have a small surprise for you to make you a bit warmer as well and more excited. Thank you.
Some more come show me the way, so we pray. Some shelter and some rivers to play, so we pray. We'll be singing bye-bye till nobody's in need.
We could not find a better way to symbolize the excellence of national team competition other than bringing for the first time in the same room, it has not happened even in the FIBA Museum yet, all 14 trophies. The men's and the women's World Cup trophies, the under-19 and under-17 men's and women's World Cup trophies, the 2 Eurobaskets, the 2 Asia Cup, the 2 America Cup, and the 2 Afrobasket trophies for men and women. This is the year of the Continentals. This is what you and your players are fighting for. This is the new trophies as they have been remodeled with the big support of our regional offices and the leadership of FIBA Marketing, exhibiting what is for us one of the strategic pillars of FIBA, the excellence of national team competitions. And this excellence was exhibited last year, dear colleagues, not only the Olympics. Before the Olympics, we had what we call, in reality, the mini World Cups. These are the Olympic qualification tournaments. Olympic qualification tournaments that exceeded all expectations, broke by far the metrics of 2020 for women and 2021 for men, and those, of course, of 2016 before, that were played before the pandemic. These tournaments were organized in a number of countries, 4 for men and 4 from women. They are a key part of the FIBA inventory and a key part of the strategy that I mentioned earlier for us to be able to have our own exposure, our own product before the Olympics, in the year of the Olympics. We want to thank warmly the organizers of the February 2024 Women's Olympic Qualification Tournaments, Belgium, Brazil, China, and Hungary, and the 4 countries the 4 federations that hosted the 4 Olympic qualifiers for men, Greece, Latvia, Puerto Rico, and Spain. These are not easy tournaments to organize. These are tournaments that bring together the best of the best in the world, and of them, only a few make it to the Olympics. And I'm pleased to share some images from those fantastic tournaments with you.
He made it! Great block by Niara Sabali.
And Spain have that word. They're qualified.
That was just crowd. 13,700. Romero swallows the basketball. Vamos España! They've done it!
Fantastic images, millions of views for tournaments that last less than a week in reality, and great hosting delivery. This hosting delivery is what makes our events different. And it makes our event different, first of all, for those who perform on the court, the players. The players' experience arrived at different levels entirely in the last World Cups, and we continued growing this service to our players. As I mentioned earlier, they do it for their country. They don't do it for a salary. They do it for the pride. It is the minimum we can do to afford to them the best hotels, the best experience from landing to departure, great food, lounges for themselves, space and time for them to meet with their families who usually accompany them and inspire the new generation. And we're going to continue that path. The Central Board has approved that for the first time the Women's World Cup next year will have single rooms in the same way that the last Men's World Cup had for the first time single rooms for the players. For longer tournaments, we want them to have the maximum comfort. And at the same time, we have taken a management decision that there is a special players unit in the House of Basketball, led by a former multiple times Olympian and World Cup participant, Kim Gosher, who has joined us since March this year and will be defending the interests of the players and providing direct player input by someone who retired just a couple of years ago. Now, our fans is our audience, and we are making sure in venue we deliver images like the one you see on the screen. The in-venue experience and the investments we make together with our hosts, because I remind you, for the World Cups, we have joint management when it comes to players' experience and fan experience and delivery in the venues. This is our target, that people who are at the game will never forget that they were at that game. They will always remember that. And this is the feedback we want to get. This is the feedback we want to receive for people to come back again and again to watch the FIBA competitions and associate our brand, FIBA, and one of the national federations with excellence. This has helped us also to maintain a very high level of commercial opportunities, and I must say, very high score for the FIBA marketing and FIBA media teams. And we need that because this is the revenue that makes us really fund the development efforts around the world. And this is why in the last 3 days of the World Cup in Manila, we managed to sign no less than 4 renewals of our sponsors because they were there and they felt what it means to be at the World Cup. And for those watching online, you saw earlier from G News the things that we will be doing, but you also saw at the World Cup the things that we are already doing with augmented reality graphics, new elements, innovations by FIBA Media around the world, customizing the feed for our broadcasting partners, the partners that are the ones that send the signal around the world with PES TV production. And you will see in your activity report more than 25 cameras for our final phase of the events, a fantastic TV production. And this year is the year of the 8 Continental Cups. Continental Cups that I remind you are delivered through the regional offices, but the Continental Cups are a global product and a product delivered on the marketing and media perspective by a global team. So in the same way that you see here in the Congress staff from the regional offices working for a global event, in the same way you will see staff from the headquarters in the Continental Cups trying to help the delivery for best ever Afrobasket, AmeriCup, Asia Cup, and Eurobasket. Having taken care of this pillar, the excellence of the national team competitions, I have something more to show you.
Inside, outside dribble, alley-oop, I just can't get it.
A big-time victory for Libya.
Oh, he got that! Oh, a block! Did he get it off?
And Karim Lopez. Ruiz, lovely pass.
Oh boy, oh my goodness.
Rubino now has got the lob. Watch out. What a pie! It's thrown down by Cardoso. Another heave, three-quarter court. It's done!
This is the magic of the qualifiers. I mentioned earlier today 1.1 million tickets in Paris. The Continental Cup qualifiers had full venues in all continents, and we crossed for the first time the benchmark of 1 million fans attending in the venues for all qualifier games around the world. This is a success that belongs to you and your national teams. Now, the next point is 3x3 basketball. I mentioned earlier the success of having in LA 28, 12 teams instead of 8. What I didn't mention was one of the first reactions I had after this announcement from my vice president, Manama, president of Africa, who wrote to me 2 words. One was in Portuguese, parabéns, saying congratulations, and the other word was universality, Andreas. And I can confirm to you that the Central Board yesterday has endorsed the fact that we will have teams from all 5 continents, from all 5 regions of FIBA, represented in LA 28 for 3x3 basketball. But in order to get the best of each continent and the best around the world to LA, we have World Cups every year and Continental Cups every year. And we need to understand that what makes 3x3, the 3x3 will turn around, is the professional tour, meaning the World Tour and the Challengers for men, and the Women's Series for women, and the Youth Nations League. Not only because these are the events that give the maximum number of points, but these are the events that allow you to have professional players specializing in 3x3. 3x3 has arrived at a certain level of specialization that bringing last-minute players from basketball does not work anymore. It doesn't work. It doesn't work even for the best. And we know even some of our best countries in the rankings still have this dilemma. Do I bring some of my best basketball players? Well, you saw earlier the picture of the man who shot the gold medal winning shot. He was a basketball player, and he said, I retired from a basketball team. But he was practicing for 3 years and playing in the World Tour before he arrived. He, together with 3 others who played the Youth Nations League, to get the gold medal game and bring this back to Netherlands. The Youth Nations League is my pledge to you. We have finally almost 90 countries registering. We have now Youth Nation Leagues conferences in every continent. We have deleted the under-17s and under-18s. This is not how 3x3 works. Specialization in 3x3 works right at the time where the players decide whether they will continue basketball professional career or they will switch to 3x3, between 18 and 23. This is the time where you really convince the players to specialize. This is the time where you say, you, the 5 of you, the 6 of you will be the pool for the women's series team, where you can play as a federation as well, with special terms, or whether you will be my World Tour team that wears the name of the capital or of a city with a sponsorship and at the same time doubles as the national team. This is, for us, the future. This is the only way that I can convince you to bring your 3x3 national team at the next level. And we really need to convince you about this next level with some images. In 3x3, size does not matter. Size does not matter on the court. The statistics show that in Paris, the teams that won were among the shortest teams of the competition. This has never happened in basketball in the Olympic Games ever. In 3x3, many said at the beginning, it's a matter of time. The big nations, the traditional basketball nations, if I may, will sooner or later prevail. They will just take up all the space available and suck up the oxygen for the others. It has not happened. It has not happened. Latvia won the gold in Tokyo. Netherlands won the gold in Paris. 3x3 shows that the style of it allows Madagascar to compete eye to eye with France, allows Azerbaijan to play the Olympics by qualifying in the OQT, not by ranking, allows St. Lucia to beat Argentina, allows Trinidad and Tobago to get a medal in the Pan Ams, allows countries that thought it was not possible to make it possible, allows Singapore to be number 17 in the world ranking in women. I can bring many more examples, because it shows on the court every year that 3x3 makes the gap between the bigger, more traditional nations and the rest much smaller. So please go tomorrow to the breakout session. Please assign a member of your staff to learn 3x3. You need someone who specializes and understands. The most of us have been educated in a basketball environment. 3x3 works very differently. Be open to work with the promoters in your countries. Of course, we're not signing contracts that you don't like in your countries, but be able to work with them, cooperate with them. Because since yesterday, the Central Board has approved a new rule for the rankings. A new rule which says that the rankings are the ones that take into account 2 years. 2 years. So we can see many of you repeating the miracles of the past when Qatar were champions in Moscow in 2014. Where Ulan in Mongolia was champions of Asia, beating Asian and Oceania teams on the court. This happens time and again. It is not an accident. Therefore, understand also sometimes when I visit you or when I speak to your media that I say priority in this country should be 3x3 basketball. And one thing that we have seen is that success in 3x3 has sparked development in basketball. We see already the first example of those, and you will hear more tomorrow in the breakout session. Now, besides 3x3, our job is to develop the youth. And here I have two important topics. One is our youth events, where we adopted a new multi-year hosting model. I announced it in Manila, but now we have the results of it. And the results of it showed that you like it. You like it to know where your destination is. Hungary was the first to jump into this cold water, and thank you, Martin and Peter, for that. Spain continued, at that time Jorge and then Elisa. Then Turkey took over, and not only took over the youth under 17s, but my friend Hussein hosted also the youth BCL a month ago. It is a question of consistency. Now Czechia takes over. Michal and Zdenek Žiža are now hosting us for 3 years in a row. For us, the stability of the hosting is fundamental, and we will be going, as you heard last week, to Jakarta for 2 back-to-back Youth World Cups in 28 and 29. This year we have also a first. Like we had Mexico under 17 last year, a first for Mexico to host. Thank you, Modesto. We have a first for Switzerland hosting a world event. Just 40 kilometers from our headquarters, we will have, as it seems, the best ever attended under 19 men's World Cup ever. More than 15,000 tickets have been sold for a youth FIBA event, if you can believe it. And we will be there in Brno for the under 19s. Now, Up to 2029, essentially we have secured all the hosts. We have de-risked this element, but we continue investing and investing at a level in the youth events like never before. Last year we organized between the South Americans, the Central, the Caribbean, the zones, the sub-zones of Africa, the 16 youth continentals, youth Eurobaskets, as we call them, now that we upgraded their nomenclature. The qualifiers in the sub-zones in Asia, the under-15s in Oceania, with Australia coming back and hosting again after many years. We have organized more than 30 youth national team competitions around the world. These are record numbers, and you will hear today how this almost 4,900 athletes that wear the FIBA logo every summer on their shirt and then will go on to become senior national team players in W and NBA and top-level players in our leagues, how we try to mentor them and bring them closer to what is playing for your national team and developing. And this part, this big investment, is what we discussed today in the corridor, what we discussed yesterday, and what was at length discussed yesterday at the Central Board. And it has to do with the latest developments in college basketball in the United States. And as you see on the screen, this is an opportunity for our players. We cannot deny that. The amounts of money being, I would not say invested, because I'm not sure this is from a financial perspective an investment, but it is from a development perspective an investment into the sport of basketball. But these amounts of money that end up in the hands of 18, 19, 20-year-old players are welcome for them by entourage. We're happy for them. At the same time, we need to acknowledge that this is no longer and has stopped being an academic experience primarily for the athletes. The colleges in NCAA are every day closer to being commercial entities, professional clubs, and that is challenging our ecosystem for the simple reason that our ecosystem is based on one principle, that you can transfer as long as contracts are respected. Agreements must be respected. And in order to transfer from one professional basketball institution to another de facto professional basketball institution, there should be a process. Call it a letter of clearance. You would like to call it something else? There must be clearance from the exiting club and national federation. And there needs to be some safeguards of where the player is going, what the conditions there will be, what will be the availability for the national team, and what is the recompense for the FIBA ecosystem, our clubs, our leagues, and our federations, and their members that have invested for someone who started playing at the age of 9 or 10 or 11 and now ends up with a 7-figure check in the hands at the age of 18. So the Central Board decided yesterday we will engage formally the NCAA. It will not be easy because this is an environment that still has not decided for itself how it will regulate itself. And it's very heavily disputed there among the primary regulator how it will be regulated. And we will come certainly as a secondary regulator. But we cannot stay with our hands still, and we cannot stay just as observers in this. FIBA has an institutional duty to protect its members at the same time that it has an institutional duty to help the development of its players. So for some countries, a blessing. For some countries, a challenge. Definitely something we need to look at, and definitely something we also need to pay an attention of its impact not only this summer or next summer, mid-term and long-term. And I would like you also to think about women's basketball and how this can impact one way or the other, maybe positively, the fact that we have so many today women players dropping out during the college times or right after that, how they will continue if they become professionals and receive such high amounts. So this is an area of focus, and I would like the Congress of FIBA to be aware of the fact that we are making heavy investments in not only sending questionnaires and asking you to give us your opinion, but also into meetings, getting information, legal advice, and trying to make the best possible solutions, of course, hand in hand with USA Basketball, hand in hand with our partners in the NBA, hand in hand with our existing relationships, of course, with the leadership with NCAA. Please don't miss the workshop tomorrow. We need your opinion. We need you to tell us how you feel about it. We need your ideas about this. Now, I would close, as this is the seventh and last pillar of the strategy, with what is next. And what is next is our 8 continentals and then our 2 World Cups. 2026 comes in Berlin, in the capital of one of the biggest economies in the world, a country that came to us with a 10-year plan of how to grow women's basketball. They already managed to play the Olympics and do very well in the Eurobasket. So there is a system and a systematic approach behind the development of the sport. We need a stronger league in the country, and we need to attract more attention in the fan base. We will be going into further partnerships and an unprecedented promotion for the Women's World Cup in Berlin, which is also proud to count one of the most decorated players in our women's basketball history as an ambassador.
And the gold medalist Sue Bird becomes the most successful female basketballer of all time at the World Championships.
It is amazing. The way I like to look at it is the game itself, the players, like I said earlier, the skill, that has just continued to evolve, it has continued to get better. But what's really catching up is the media coverage, the investment in the game, the fan support. That over the last 3, 4, 5 years has really built. And these young players are now taking this product that was built for years and years and years, and they're just taking it and elevating it to this whole other place. It's about knowing the opportunity exists, about having the chance at that opportunity. And even if you fall short, it still is giving you something to strive for, right? And then you'll come back the next 4 years and try to do it again. So I think when you expand the field in this way, it's just going to give other countries, I don't know, that drive. Like I said, it's about striving to reach a goal, and that, you know, in some ways it builds this competitiveness, almost like a survival of the fittest, where you have to be at your best at all times. And with that, you know, every country is going to continue to get better and better.
We're really looking forward to Berlin next year. At the same time, we came here to Bahrain with a short flight from Doha after an incredible World Cup qualifiers draw from our hosts, the Qatar Basketball Federation, that is putting together an event like no other before in our history. This will be the first time that we will have all 32 national teams, the entire World Cup event in 4 venues, where from the northest part of Doha to the southern part of Doha, from Lusail Arena to Al Janoub, it doesn't take more than 35 minutes by car. You and your fans can start booking tickets already after leaving Manama over the weekend to return in the Gulf for not only the Congress, but also our biggest event. We're doing a great effort with our host for the promotion, and I truly believe that the new element of this World Cup will be the number of traveling fans. This is a unique experience that you can be in a city and choose every day among 8 different games where to go and what to watch. This is an incredible opportunity for our fans, not only to follow their teams, but also for neutral fans from the region and from around the world to come and enjoy the best of the best. Because this will be the biggest FIBA event in one city ever.
Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm Carmelo Anthony. The world's biggest basketball stage is coming, and it's heading to Doha in 2027. The FIBA World Cup, passion, skill, and pride collide as 32 nations compete for the ultimate prize. If you thought the past World Cups were unforgettable, Qatar 2027 is going to take it to a whole new level. Every journey begins with a bold step. Rise to the challenge. Together, we step it up.
So we take the assist from Sue Bird and Carmelo after saying thank you to Mohammed and Saadun. We take this assist and we say, well, now the ball is in our hands. The ball is in the hands of the national member federations of FIBA. There is a lot of hard work, a lot of good work in front of us. But as you saw today, I hope also a lot of satisfying results that motivate us and inspire us for the future. The FIBA family is strong. I thank the Central Board for their support. I thank each and every one of you. And this concludes my report to the FIBA FIBA Congress, Bahrain 2025. Thank you.
I think Andreas gave very good advice to the federations. I'll just make it short. I think you should have good staff to improve the basketball because world is going too fast. If you still depend on one or two people to control everything, I think it's not right. You have to build a new staff, a new people, young people for the future in order to be in the same shape of the other top countries. So thank you and wish you all the best. And now we have the next point of agenda, number 8, the report by the treasurer, and I invite Mr. Ingo to give his report, please. Mr. Wise.
Yes. Thank you very much. At first, please take your headphones. I will speak in my native language in Germany. So in German, you know, we win in Manila the World Cup. Sorry, Andreas, I must say. So allow me to speak in German.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm very pleased to be able to share some information with you about the financial situation at FIBA. And I'm particularly pleased to be able to talk about some good results and to present some excellent figures to you. Excellent figures, why? Because we did a really good job with our resources, and we have shown that we are able to husband our resources. I think that I should say immediately at this juncture, thank you to our financial department, thank you to our regional bureaus, because they have done everything possible to really manage our finances, your money. And they really have done an excellent job. And that this money has been invested in basketball. Let me begin with a map. Here is a map of the world. And you can see it is also a financial map. If you look carefully, it is very clear that we have a number of different offices dotted around the world. After our World Cup, which took place in 2019 in China, we opened an office which worked extremely well in China and which has allowed us to promote basketball in a very large country in Oceania. And this is particularly important for this part of the world. And there are also some island states, not just large countries. For example, we have established a very strong presence in Singapore. That is specific for 3x3. And after the World Championship in 2023, we also landed in Indonesia, where we have Eric Tunier. We opened an office with him there. And that allows us to really to bring a sparkle to the eyes of children. And we are bringing basketball to a very important country from a basketball perspective. In Africa, of course, we also have subzones. But we have a building which is run by Alphonse Billet. And I must say that he has a very beautiful office in the town of Abidjan. And he not only manages basketball, but he promotes basketball, and he's doing a very good job there. Then look at the Americas. In Puerto Rico, that was where our old office was. That office has now been sold, but we now have a new office in Miami. We're investing in that new office now. And where we have Carlos Alves, who is also doing a very good job with his team. I'm also very pleased that we're also doing a good job in Beirut. Not an easy place, but FIBA Asia has its main office there. And of course, in Beirut, they're trying to do everything possible to organize our championship there. We have our headquarters just outside Geneva. And of course, we have our FIBA Foundation. We have our marketing department there. And we also have our European headquarters in Munich. And we have a marketing office for Europe there, as well as two additional sectors which we cover and which we have to maintain for tax reasons. I think it's quite interesting to see how we are networked, financially speaking, because there are a lot of points that are connected with this and which will allow us to continue to promote basketball. Now let me come back to these different areas, these different sectors for which we're responsible. We invest in basketball. We invest in basketball, and we invest in basketball with a large amount of money. And we have a lot of functions that we also develop. You'll see that we have invested just last year, 2024, 85 million Swiss francs. 85 Swiss francs just in basketball. And if you look at our overall budget, you can see how that money has been divided up. 43 million was sent directly to the regional offices, and I've just showed you where those offices are located, and you'll be able to see what takes place in those different offices. Of course, and we're very proud of this, we have a 4-year cycle, and that 4-year cycle is something which should be able to produce a figure in the black. In 2023, 2024, we did very well, but 2025, 2026, things are a little bit tighter. Why is that? Well, I'll explain that to you in a moment. Let's go on to the next slide. Well, ladies and gentlemen, as you can see, in 2023, overall we had income and expenditure which represented 138.5 on income, 131 on the expenditure, and we made a very small profit of 7.4 million. In 2023, We did, of course, have our World Championship, which is why we were able to keep our fingers in the black. But then in 2024, we got 110.7 million in receipts, 105.5 in expenditure. So in 2024, we had a surplus, but only 5.2 million. For us, this is important that we're able to achieve that kind of result, because we have a small surplus, and that will help us in the years to come, because we need to continue investing. Now, if I look at the details of this, and you've got this in the report that you've all received, perhaps there are a couple of points that I can highlight. Andreas Zaglis, our General Secretary, said in his report that there are certain aspects which are of great importance, and he said that there are certain things that we need to focus on. You can see the differences between our different areas and sectors, things which are important, and you can see a comparison between 2023 and 2024. If we look at the major factors, in our marketing department, we have larger amounts of income. You can see the 57.2 million and 53.3 million in 2024. We've also had other subsidies which refer to hosting fees. We also had income through interest payments. We have an investment committee. That investment committee involves people who look and see what we can do with money in order to be able to help that money to multiply, and therefore that extra resources can be then invested. So thank you to Richard Carillon for really helping us and advising us with his team. Of course, we've got personnel costs as well on the expenditure side, and that is the biggest cost factor, the operating cost, which is the organization of competitions, as well as the adoption of certain measures. We had the World Championship, which cost quite a lot, and then in 2024, the figure was somewhat lower, but we've got about 148 million, which is the amount that is being invested. But we also have other expenditure where you can see because of operating expenses, thanks to our offices. And after a 2-year cycle, we have a total surplus of 32.7 million and 5.5 million in 2024. Sorry, 7.4 million. That gives us a total of 12.6 million, which is money we need for the following years. If you have any detailed questions later on, the financial department is here with Patrick Marier and Patrice. I don't know if this was done on purpose. They all have a blue suit and a red tie. So if you have a question, you can go to them. And of course, we will be very, very transparent. So if you see somebody with a red tie and a blue suit, then you go to them and ask them any questions you have about finances. So let's continue. Let's see how we stand with regard to the years to come. I said to you what happened in 2023, and I've also shown to you what happened in 2024. We had 7.4, 5.2 as surpluses, and now for 2025, that's this year, we have a budgeted surplus of 1.5. That is 130 on the income side, 120 on the expenditure side. So a small surplus. We don't know how the end of the year will end. it may be a minus figure. We will have to wait and see. And then the next important year is 2026. And you're going to say, why is 2026 such a difficult year? Well, in 2026, we only have one large international championship, and that's the World Championship, the Feminine Championship. And of course, we've got to invest in women's basketball. We've got to invest in the Women's Championship. And so there are a lot of things that need to be done. We don't have any other competitions, and that's what brings us in, the money. We don't have any pre-qualifications or Olympic tournaments. No World Championships, no Continental Championships. And that is precisely the year where we have to invest and where we can expect a minus amount. I said at the beginning, you need to look at the 4-year cycle. So 23, 24, 25 were good years, but I think we should end up with a slight surplus for the 4-year period of about 6 million. And I think you can see that we have invested a lot of money in basketball, and we'll come back to this because the Central Board of FIBA decided at its meeting yesterday that more money should be invested in basketball, that more of the money that we generate, and it's not in my pocket, it's in the pocket of FIBA in Geneva, but that money should be distributed, and it will be distributed to you. Well, ladies and gentlemen, of course, I'd like to tell you something about the direct support we provide. I think we've already spoken at length about this, and Andreas has also referred to this. We also provide direct support in 2023, 2024 to a number of different sectors. 8.2, 8.7 million for youth support. We also have subsidies to the national federations, and then there are the media rights which are also redistributed. That's 3.4 and 2.2 million. That is for the championships, and 80 countries participated and were given a share of the cake. And then you can see that the media rights are also redistributed. In the different countries, you have different media contracts which are negotiated. We also have the competition support. We've got the youth championships which have to be invested in. We have invested in a number of promotional activities, and one of the larger amounts is the transfer fees, that is for players who are going to change teams from one country to another. So I think that once again, what is paid directly to you, you can see the amounts in 2023 and 2024, 22 and 18 million. I think that we were able to show how much money is actually being redistributed at the end of the day. Well, here you can see another important factor for us, that is our liquidity. So it's not just that we have money which is invested in bricks and mortar and buildings. We also have liquidity, and that liquidity is important because that helps us to do our work. Our liquidity in 2023, 2024, the amount has increased. That is due to the fact that in 2024 we got money for the Olympic Games. But this obviously has to be distributed over a 4-year period. Our money is invested in Swiss francs to a large extent, but also in euro and in US dollars. These are the 3 major currencies which we have partners for, and the media contracts also in one of those 3 currencies. We also have to pay out in those 3 currencies. We've got other contracts, of course, in other currencies. For example, in Jakarta, and for the World Championship, we had obviously money in Japan, which represents the 2% of that little pie chart which you can see. Right, now, next slide. Let me show you our budget plans for the 4-year cycle. And our budget plan here is For liquidity, we had 68 million in 2023. That was liquidity. 83 2024, and then it went down to 67 in 2025, and then 60 million is the plan for 2026. So this amount is important. Particularly, we have a budget between 120 and 150 million. So we've got to be able to keep 50% of that income in cash. That gives us a certain cushion, a certain amount of security, and that is important because that ensures that all the things that we have promised to provide in terms of support and payments, that those promises can be kept. Let us also look at the balance sheet. We've got the fixed assets and the current assets, liabilities and equity. You can see what we have achieved and what we have done. There has been a slight change from 2023 to 2024, but we're talking about 160 million in terms of the assets in our budget. And if you do the calculation of a 4-year period, we have a lot of money which we are responsible for managing, which we're happy to manage, and I think we do a very good job in managing that amount. And of course, you participate in the results. So we have spoken a lot about figures. It's a bit too early to talk about gifts, but the Central Board has said that certain things needed to be changed and that certain increases will be granted. For example, the Solidarity Fund, which is important for many of you, that Solidarity funding for men has been increased by 62%. Now, you don't know what 62%, but if I give you the actual figures, you know what that actually means. In the last cycle for the World Championship, we distributed 3.6 million. The federations that participated in the championships got 44,000 Swiss francs. And we've almost doubled that figure. We're now at 5.8 million euros. Which we will be distributing, and you will all be receiving more as a result of this. We also have a solidarity fund, which has therefore been increased. We've also introduced a solidarity fund for women, so we will also be making payments for women. We won't be able to pay out as much as for men, but I think that we will have a decent figure for the funding for women. We also have a new participation subsidy for women. For women's basketball, we have a participation subsidy, and the Central Board will be determining the amount at its meeting in November. And we will be giving a possibility to those who take part in the World Championship to be able to prepare for that championship and to be able to participate and achieve good results when the championship takes place in Berlin. We want to do as good a job for women as we have done for the men. I'm also very pleased that we have increased our subsidy for Propose a Project. That is important for us, an important factor, and we shouldn't underestimate this because it is a very large amount of money. In the 4-year cycle, between 50 and 20 million Swiss francs will be invested. I'm talking at least about 15 million for insurances for the players. Ensuring the players is important. Players who participate in the continental championships. This is also a significant amount of money, and it helps the federations, you that is. You will be given a bit of support because otherwise you would have had to provide that support. And, of course, we want to be able to invest in our FIBA Plus programs and in the FIBA Academy. That is an important factor for us. This is important because it means we'll be able to train the kids, but also we want to be able to train the referees and the other officials. These are things which are very important for us. They are essential because unless we have good persons who have received the necessary training, we won't be able to do the work properly. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to tell you something about our financial situation. I hope that you've been able to see quite clearly that the FIBA finances are very stable, and the finances of FIBA are really good. This is reflected in the fact that we have a good budget for this year, and if you look at our offices in our zones, those offices are being invested in. And I hope that we will continue to have a lot of supporters and sponsors. And we have some important sponsors in this part of the world. Now, this Congress in Bahrain costs a lot of money, and without the support of the Kingdom of Bahrain, and I'd like to say thank you to His Highness Mr. Khalifa, we would not have been able to organize such a good Congress. So thank you all for your support. Thank you all for the support that you are being provided. And through the participation fees, thanks to hosting fees, and also thanks to certain fines, of course, which we have to impose from time to time, I think that we are able to really do a good job for everybody. So, as I said, the financial situation is stable, and I can say that the finances of FIBA will continue to grow. And anything that leads to growth is going to be an advantage for you. Thank you very much for listening, dear delegates. And obviously, if you have any questions, we are available to answer those questions. So ask us directly, or if you'd like just come up even with an idea, please go to those who are wearing a red tie and ask them. Thank you.
Thank you, Ingo.
Thank you.
Next point in the agenda is number 9, amendment to the FIBA General Statutes. I invite the chair, the Legal Commission, Mrs. Erika Day, to make the presentation. Ms. Erika.
Mr. President, Mr. Secretary General, dear members of the Congress, ladies and gentlemen. A number of amendments to the FIBA General Statutes are being proposed. These proposed changes have been reviewed by the Legal Commission and approved by the Central Board in accordance with the procedure outlined in the General Statutes. The working paper sent to you in pages 45 to 49 include the proposed amendments and a summary and table that outlines the rationale for each change. I would like to highlight just a few of the key updates for your attention. First, in the annex of the General Statutes, the country name Macau will be reflected as Macau, China. In Article 9.6, the reference to the now defunct FIBA National Federations Manual has been removed, reflecting that the principles of the FIBA strategy are now set out directly by the Central Board. Article 14.2.1. The rotation system for the election of the president by zone has been updated to reflect the next cycles, running from Oceania in 2027 through to Asia in 2047. Article 15.1.1. We have clarified the Central Board's authority to set standards for a wider range of game officials. Article 15.1.6 and Article 37.2. The role of the nominations panel has been refined to better reflect current practice particularly with regard to reviewing candidate eligibility and making informed recommendations for elections. Article 15.1.15 and 15.2.7. The meeting schedules of the Central Board and the Executive Committee have been adjusted to align with actual operational practice. In particular, the Central Board now meets at least twice annually, and institutional balance is maintained between the Central Board and Executive Committee meetings. Article 16.2, recognizing FIBA's global footprint, we have clarified the applications of Swiss law for secretariat contracts, with exceptions for employees based in our international offices. Article 19.2, due to varying national laws, the status of regional office executive directors as voting zone board members has been made flexible. Article 21 and 24. The responsibilities of the technical and 3x3 commissions have been reframed to reflect that they do not exercise executive authority, but rather play a supportive and advisory role, particularly in matters of training, qualification, and rules interpretation. Article 40. Following a recommendation from the last Association of Summer Olympics International Federation Governance Assessment, the revised text explicitly recognizes that elections may be challenged before the CAS, ensuring greater legal certainty and access to justice. Other amendments include editorial clarifications, consistency improvements, and updates to reflect institutional practices that have evolved since the last revisions of the statutes back in 2021. At this stage, I would like to open the floor for any questions or comments concerning the proposed amendments. If there are no questions, and unless there are any objections, I propose that we proceed to vote on the proposed amendments in block. There being no objections, as per Article 52 of the General Statutes, in order for the amendments to be adopted, we require a vote of 2/3. Mr. President, may I have your permission to conduct this vote?
Thank you. Yes, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. President. The vote will be conducted by a show of hands, as is customary. May I now ask all those in favor of the proposed amendments to raise their hand. Thank you. Now, may I ask those who are against to raise their hand? Mr. President, I think we have reached the 2/3 that we need.
Thank you for the approval.
Okay. I now yield the floor back to you.
Right.
Okay, I'm pleased to report that the proposed amendments to the FIBA General Statutes have been approved by the Congress with the required majority.
Thank you. Thank you for the approval of the General Statutes. Thank you. Now, we go to the next point, point number 10. Report by the organization officially recognized by FIBA. 10-1 FIBA Foundation. I invite on the statue of FIBA honorary president and the president of the FIBA Foundation, Hamani Nyang, please.
Cher Président, chers représentants des fédérations nationales,
esteemed basketball family, it is with a deep sense of gratitude and honor that I address you today to talk about an organization whose mission goes well beyond the basketball court, and I'm talking about the FIBA Foundation. It is the social and heritage arm of FIBA. Cultural heritage means we honor our history. Let's begin by looking at that heritage. Our commitment to preserving the rich history of basketball is embodied in the cultural heritage pillar. This is not simply a matter of memories, but of identity and of pride. The history of basketball is a global story, woven from the triumphs of athletes, the evolution of the game, and shared experiences of millions of people across our 5 regions. At the heart of this legacy is the FIBA Hall of Fame, a sanctuary where the past meets the present. It honors the players, coaches, teams, and officials who have shaped the sport. More than just a collection of names and dates, the FIBA Hall of Fame is a living tribute. It preserves the cultural significance of basketball and ensures that future generations understand not only the game, how it was played, but also why the game was so important. Since its inception in 2007, the FIBA Hall of Fame has honored 192 personalities from international basketball. These inductions are a testament to the global impact of basketball and the Foundation's commitment to celebrating its heroes. I turn now to Basketball for Good, which is acting for the common good. The FIBA Foundation doesn't just look back. It also looks to the future with determination and with compassion through its social arm, Basketball for Good. Basketball for Good is based on a simple yet powerful truth. Basketball changes lives. More than a sport, it's a tool for social development, inclusion, and empowerment. It's a necessary and achievable goal within FIBA's 212 federations. Through programs covering our 5 regions, Basketball for Good engages with young people around the world, and it offers them a platform to be heard, seen, empowered, and led. Our Young Leaders program is a perfect example of this. Young people learn to become ambassadors in their communities using basketball as a voice and as a vehicle. In every shot, there's a lesson in confidence. In every pass, there's a message of solidarity, and in every team, a sense of belonging. That is the heart of Basketball for Good. One foundation, 2 pillars, heritage and social impact. Together, these 2 pillars, cultural heritage and Basketball for Good, define the FIBA Foundation's enduring role. By honoring the past and valuing the present, the Foundation ensures that basketball remains not only a global sport, but also a global force for heritage, unity, and for the common good. Ladies and gentlemen, participants, I now hand over to the head of the Foundation, Taryn Bullock, who will provide further explanations.
Dear President, Secretary General, dear honorary presidents of FIBA and FIBA Foundation, I will follow President Young's speech with a brief presentation on the 2 pillars that he talked about of the FIBA Foundation, Basketball for Good and cultural heritage. Starting off with the first, which has 5 areas of cultural heritage. The first one being collections and historical archives. We have made a huge focus on this specific area, on the restoration of trophies. The trophy that you see here is related to the eldest competition that is recognized by FIBA. It is a competition that was created in 1930, 2 years prior to the creation of our organization, the South American Championship. And this trophy dates back from 1938. In collaboration with the National Federation of Uruguay, our global logistics partner, Cune and Nago, we were able to transport this trophy from Uruguay to Spain and then to the Patrick Baumann House of Basketball, part of our continuous journey of having more collections, increasing the history of our game. The second area is the Patrick Baumann House of Basketball. And it is not just the FIBA headquarters. It is also the FIBA Museum that contains over 40,000 items connected to the game of basketball from its creation in 1891 up until today. It also houses the largest library in the world dedicated to basketball, over 9,000 books and close to 40 languages. Currently, we have an exposition called From the Court to the Big Screen. This shows the connectivity between the world of cinema and the world of basketball. Over 400 movies have been created with basketball as its main theme, again showing the transcendence of our sports going beyond solely the hardwood. 84 of those movies are currently in our exposition. And we've had another record-breaking year with 6,186 visitors visiting the Patrick Baumann House of Basketball, every year growing. And we remind you that this house is your house. It was built for you. It was built for our national federations. So if you have not visited, and I know that many of you have, please do so in the very near future. The next area is the FIBA Hall of Fame, where we honor the legends that allowed our sport to be what it is today. We have went through a rebranding process of the FIBA Hall of Fame. The logo that you see here, those of you who are here physically in the Kingdom of Bahrain, you will see this in greater evidence tomorrow when we induct the 2025 class. But this logo represents the hardwood pieces coming together, the court that we play our sport on. It also shows the building blocks of history, and it also represents the unification and the unity of FIBA Hall of Famers. There are 192 FIBA Hall of Famers. After tomorrow night, there will be 200. And we have made a focus of reconnecting with our FIBA Hall of Famers, whether that is them participating in a draw, whether that is them being the ambassador of a FIBA competition. Miao Lijie and Yuko Oga, FIBA Hall of Famers, were just announced officially yesterday as ambassadors of the Women's Asia Cup, as an example. Whether that is participating in a Basketball for Good clinic. We want to give opportunities to our FIBA Hall of Famers to give back because so many of them are wanting to do so. Next, community of historians. And this is where we work hand in hand with all of you, helping you to increase your awareness of the history of basketball in your respective countries. Some of you have already reached your centennial. Some of you are about to reach your centennial. Some of you are in complete different journeys, and we are willing to accompany you along that journey of increasing, once again, that knowledge of basketball, the history of basketball in your countries. Cultural programs, and a focus on two major events within our cultural programs area. The first being the FIBA Photo Contest, where we had a record-breaking year with submissions from 126 countries. And that is thanks to you. So thank you once again for growing the awareness of this contest. And we see the winning photo right here. What a photo. The smile, the joy, the laughter that you see on the young boy. And you see the symmetry of that with his mother, the celebration that they're sharing together. Also, the Encyclopedia of European Women's Club Competitions that consists of data of over 11,000 players and over 1,300 coaches. That was able to be inaugurated at the gala of the EuroLeague Women's Final Six. Getting now to our second pillar of Basketball for Good, the social arm of FIBA, where we allow the sport to be a vehicle for positive change. Before going into the three areas, we look at here a snapshot of the impact that we've been able to create together with all of you in 2024. 276,000 young people positively impacted. In all 5 FIBA regions, 122 countries, 255 change makers empowered, over 680 Basketball for Good initiatives organized. Again, that could not have been done without all of you, in collaboration with you, but also with our 2 global partners of the FIBA Foundation, Malton, allowing Malton basketballs to be played and utilized throughout the entire world and all of our activities, but also Peak, and allowing Peak textile equipment to be utilized within all of our activities as well. The first area, mini basketball, and this is the age group of 5 to 12 years old, where the primary objective, specifically for the younger age, so 5 to 8 years old, is not to be inducted into the FIBA Hall of Fame. If that happens, we'll be very happy, and that will be remarkable. But the main objective here is to create lifelong fans, lifelong citizens of the game. And that is what we are trying to create and empower that ideology throughout the world. We have created 151 new mini basketball educators with the theory of train the trainer, providing education so that that education continues, and that's the way that we can empower and then grow our community. Within all 5 FIBA regions, once again, and 46% of female participation. But probably the most important part on this slide behind me is the launch of our Basketball for Good playbook, which has 3 chapters: basketball for health and well-being, basketball for gender equality, basketball for recycling. And that is where there's grassroots basketball drills, but within each game, within each drill, there's a connection to a social element. And that is where we believe is the essence and the definition, the pure definition of Basketball for Good. The second one being youth leadership. These are social entrepreneurs, change makers, beneath the age of 30 years old, working hand in hand with all of you, ambassadors of what we are trying to do on a global scale. We have created 84 youth leaders within 51 different countries. Now, the totaling of 155, 53% of that total number are female, and 58% of them are currently implementing Basketball for Good projects. That could not have been done without you, so thank you for continuously supporting your respective youth leaders in your countries. Community impacts. First of all, the refurbished courts in the Seychelles, where it is a legacy of the program that we have done over the past 3 years within that island, together with a bank from the Kingdom of Bahrain, the Al Salam Bank, allowing basketball to be used as an education to increase health, to increase nutritious education on that island. And the courts in an area that is in dire need of it, where it allows youth to go and have a safe space to play the game that they love. But a focus here on our Proposal Project platform, a platform that we created in 2020 to help support deserving organizations. Any organization can ask for support from the FIBA Foundation within this platform. But if it is not an organization that is a national federation, then they must receive a letter of endorsement from the respective national federation of that country. You see here the evolvement within the past 3 years in the amount of projects applications, this year reaching a whopping number of 332 applications. The reason why we do not have a finalized number of projects that will be supported in 2025 is because that is decided by the FIBA Foundation. And we have an upcoming FIBA Foundation board meeting presided by President Young, where we will make the final decisions on which ones will be supported from either financial, equipment, and or mentoring. And I would like to conclude with two statistics. The first one being 3.3 billion. That is the amount of fans that our sport has around the world. Over 610 million. That is the amount of basketball players that exist around the world. I'll repeat the first one. 3.3 billion. That is almost half of the entire world. That is an incredible reality. That is an incredible opportunity, but also a responsibility. A responsibility to us all, for us to work together as a team, to try to ensure to the best of our ability that that impact that we have on the world is as positive as it can be. For our sports, our beautiful sport of basketball, to be a platform for change, to be a platform for good. Basketball for good. Thank you. Thank you, President.
Thank you, Terran. Now we'll move to 10.2, International Wheelchair Basketball Federation. The President, Wolf Marines, will make the presentation. Before I finish.
Mr. President, Secretary General, esteemed FIBA members, dear friends and colleagues, and ex-players, as you know. It's a great privilege for me, on behalf of the IWF, the International Wheelchair Basketball Federation, to join you once again at the FIBA Congress, as we did in the past. Thank you for the opportunity to share with you the latest progress in our sports and the continued evolution in our federation. The past 2 years have marked a period of continued growth and evolution for wheelchair basketball. For IWF, it has been a time of deepening integration within the global basketball ecosystem, accompanied by a strong reminder of our values. That means inclusion, that means innovation, and that means opportunity. Today, we are proud that we can announce that we're counting together 111 national federations under the IWF umbrella, which is enormous in wheelchair sport, which is enormous in IPC sports, spanning all over the continent, with notable expansions in the Africa and Asian zones. Allow me to highlight 3 key milestones we have reached during this period. We have successfully launched IWF 3x3 wheelchair basketball events. Most notably, the IWF Europe Cup was held alongside FIBA's 3x3 Europe Cup in Vienna. Our first 3x3 World Championship will take place this August in South Africa next to Joburg, which is a great step. Looking forward for ourselves to be in Brisbane if they allowed us. And we are proud of the part to be integrated in the programs of Glasgow 2026 Commonwealth Games and the Rhine-Ruhr 25 FISO Games, which is held in my country in Germany, in Düsseldorf and Bochum. Competition. We delivered some of our milestone IWF World Champion competition, including new qualifications mechanism to our flagship events. 24, IWF repechage events for men and women. That gave teams to clinch up the last sport for Paris 24. Under 25 World Championships for women in 23, which had be followed by the Under 23 World Championships for men this summer in Sao Paulo, Brazil. So that means for us, lots of things to do and lots of events you have to manage with our power we have. Paris 24, a center stage to our sport. At the Paris 24 Olympic Games, wheelchair basketball, even with basketball, we heard it today, reached new heights. 586,000 spectators filled the Bercy Arena. That is the half of what FIBA reached with their events, which is great for us. And remember, we don't have 3x3. We have just 5-5 with 8 teams, both teams. A remarkable, record-breaking 96.1 million global viewers followed up the games via broadcast and digital platforms. That means, which is enormous for us and lots of work to do, and we are real proud of this. These steps reflect our ambitions to innovate, grow, and remain responsive to evolving trends in the basketball world. This brings me up to our share mantra. Stronger together. This is not just a slogan. It's a very good spirit of cooperation between IWF and FIBA members, and hopefully in the future with IWF members too, in cooperation in their countries. Since the last Congress, our relationship has been growing stronger and stronger, strategically, operationally, and for the public in the world. We show the world that we are together basketball. There's a good sign, as you know. Building we have transitioned to becoming a Swiss registered association. It was a long trip to go, believe me. We are proud to call the Patrick Baumann House of Basketball our headquarters. It was an honor to welcome FIBA Secretary General Andreas Sackles. Andreas, thank you for this and your motivation to do this. As a voting member, he's a voting member of the IWF Executive Council, a powerful system of trust, unity, and shared purpose, and I said again, of motivation. Following the unexpected loss of our former Secretary General, you know him all, Norbert Kutsera, in February this year, the recent appointment of Gabriel Sangenfeind, my colleague sitting over there, and he is known also, as IWF Secretary General, marks an important step, milestone in our partnership between FIBA and IWF, because our Secretary General is sitting now with his office in the FIBA headquarters too, which is a very, very good step. On the 1st of May, 25, since 18 days right now, if I count together, the new IWF Secretary General will be based, as I said, at the Patrick Baumann House. And that is an excellent sign of the growth between IWF and the basketball and the whole basketball family. This is a new chapter. Builds upon the shared vision of late Patrick Baumann and Norbert Kutsera. And in the last years, Andreas Sackles and myself, we talk about the future, and now the future is reached. A vision of one united global basketball community. With IWF operational presence now inside FIBA headquarters, the collaboration opens the door to grow greater knowledge, exchange, closer institutional cooperation, and lasting, as least but not least, the strategic synergy. On the commercial front, our partnership with FIBA Media and Marketing Services had attracted global partners like Tissot and Molten, reinforcing our shared identity as one basketball family, too, for the future. Because together, we are stronger. Looking to the future, we are preparing ourselves for a busy and exciting event shuttle from now on, leading to Los Angeles 28. In addition to our competition timeline, we are working on a long-term strategy, which includes goals like increased participation, expand competitive opportunities worldwide, grow up our digital presence, and amplify the voices and stories of our athletes, strengthen the development of women on pathway, both on the court and in leadership. As I heard today, it's also a main point from FIBA, and we are compared to this. Deepen 3-in-3 integration, offering more access points for athletes, fans, and emerging nations. With FIBA together, we share the same aspiration: to make basketball, whether played running or rolling, the most popular and accessible sports in the world. In closing, I wish you to thank FIBA leadership and its members for your continued trust and partnership. Our journey forward is one of the shared responsibilities, shared goals, and shared success. And we are, I will remind it, stronger together. To conclude with a call for action, as we have heard of the increased cooperation between IWF and FIBA, I now invite you to reach out to me or my colleague Gabriel Sangenfeind in the next 2 days, this day, next day, building up the same energies on national level that we're lucky to have at international level. Thank you for your time. Now please enjoy this short video which shows our sports.
Thank you, Mr. President. Andreas want to say something?
Yes, thank you, Ulf. I would like to say, because he's very humble, that we have reciprocated our inclusion onto the IWBF Executive Council with the nomination by the FIBA Central Board of President Merens to the FIBA Foundation Board. And this is why several propose a projects that are approved by the foundation include both running basketball and rolling basketball, wheelchair basketball, also because a number of you in your countries control both basketball and wheelchair basketball, and we really encourage you, as Ulf said, to engage with him and Gabriel, as we have in our family the #1 Paralympic sport, wheelchair basketball, and we are very glad to be following the same mission under the motto, Stronger Together. So thank you again to Ulf and Gabriel for this presentation. Before the President closes, as he will say his last words, and then I know we are quite hungry as well, please do not go immediately to the lunch. Outside this room, we will take our big family picture, of course, with our hosts, to which I would like to thank again His Highness Sheikh Issa bin Ali Al Khalifa for their generous hospitality. President, the word is back to you.
Thank you. Now, the official part of the Congress is over. Thank you all for the attendance. I believe we had a very good Congress. The entire Central Board thanks you for your support. We have a lot of work to do together in the next 2 years. And I will be glad to see you at the next Congress in Doha. Now we will go for lunch and you return for the new service at 3 o'clock. Thank you. And I would like to thank the interpreter for helping us in convey the everything to the people to understand and in all the language. So on behalf of everybody, I thank them and we appreciate their service. Thank you.
We return in the room at 3 p.m. Photo, please, outside with our local dignitaries and the entire membership and the Central Board. Thank you.